Welcome. In this lecture, we will learn about code, standard and specification used in process industry. Let's start with standard. A standard can be defined as a set of technical definition and guidelines, or a simply how-to instruction for designer and manufacturer. A designer will use this standard to design product and a manufacturer use it for production. Standards serve as a common language to defining quality and establishing safety criteria for the product. ASTM, API, MSS, ISO are some of the example of this standard. ASTM has more than 12,000 standard. They cover almost everything. If you visit ASTM website, they said they have a standard from toy to aircraft. Why this standard required? Let's take an example of mobile phone travel charger. If you are in a US and traveling to India, you need adapter to use this charger in India, as both the country follow different standard for power sockets. But your USB cable will work anywhere in the world because it is manufactured as per globally accepted standard. In case of process industry, we want all the piping material, irrespective of their country of origin. They should fit perfectly with each other when they come to the site. Standard helps to achieve this by establishing engineering or technical requirement for product, practice, method or operation. Standard builds the confidence about product quality in the users. With standardization, cost of production will reduce as you can produce in bulk for a global market. When standard is adopted by a government body and become legally enforceable, or when it has been incorporated into the business contract, standard will become a code. ASME code are legally enforceable in many US states, whereas in other part of the world, they have their own similar code. Please note that the requirement mentioned in the code will only be a mandatory requirement if the code is adopted as a law by regulatory body or if it is a part of business contract. Otherwise, code will serve as a globally accepted guidelines for design, fabrication, construction and installation. However, almost all the process facilities follow various American codes and standards in addition to their national standard. Some of the example of the codes are ASME Boiler Pressure Vessel Code, British Standard, DIN, Indian Standard, etc. DIN is a German national standard. Why code is required? Code provides a set of rules that specify the minimum acceptable level of safety and quality for manufactured, fabricated or constructed goods. It also refers out to a standard or specification for specific detail or additional requirement that are not specified in code itself. What is specification? Specification provides specific additional requirement for the material, components or the service that are beyond the code or standard requirements. For example, if you want A106 grade B pipe with maximum carbon of 0.23% against the standard requirement of 0.3% max, you have to specify your requirement in your specification or in a purchase order. Specifications are generally generated by private company to address additional requirement applicable to specific product or services. Why specification is required? Specification allows purchaser to include special requirement as per the design and service condition. It allows to customize your product. Please note, requirement in specification are must meet requirement. To simplified understanding of code and standard, I have grouped them in three categories. First is system design code. In this category of code, it will provide entire system design requirement. ASME B31 series, ASME section 8 are some of the example of system design code. Second is the material standard that provides standard material grades that can be used in manufacturing of piping components or any other systems. ASTM section 1, section 2, ASME section 2 are cover various acceptable material grades that can be used in a system design. The last on the list is dimensional standard. Dimensional requirement of standard piping components are covered in various dimensional standard. ASME B16 series is the example of the various dimensional standard. To construct safe and reliable process plant, you will require all the three categories of code and standard during design, fabrication, construction and installation. System design code covers requirement for material that can be used in various process conditions, different type of component that can be used, how to design the system, how to fabricate, assemble and installation requirement, and it's also cover the inspection testing requirement for entire system. Material standard covers manufacturing process of raw material and the finished product. Material standard also give the requirement for chemical and mechanical property that required in finished product. It also suggests various heat treatment that to be performed during the manufacturing of the product. Material standard also give the requirement for mechanical testing, non-destructive testing and various inspection method that to be performed during the inspection of the product. Material standard also give the various acceptable tolerance of imperfection. When imperfection is beyond the acceptable limit, it will known as a defect. Standard covers various defect repair methods and acceptance of that defect repair. Standard also give the various marking requirement. Material standard also list various supplementary requirement. These are the additional requirement mentioned within the standard. Purchaser has to specify in his purchase order if he wants to add this requirement. Standard also give various general requirements such as product finish, ordering information and packaging information. Example of the material standard are ASTM Section 1, Section 2 and Section 3. ASME Section 2 also provides the various material that can be used in ASME Section 8 code stamp jobs. Different dimension standard used for the different component. This standard give product specific requirement. In general, dimension standard provide size, inside-outside diameter, wall thickness, pressure temperature rating. For flanges, it also provides bolt hole diameter, various bolting requirement, threading requirement, gasket thickness and finishing requirement, different type of ends for pipe and pipe fitting. Dimension standard also lists various permissible variation that is acceptable within the dimension requirement. Why piping code and standard are required? This standard provides a set of requirements for safe, reliable and economical installation and operation of the process plant. Code and standard ensure consistent dimension and rating so that component will fit together and improve system reliability. With standard components, fewer inventory required and that save cost also. Let's summarize what you have learned in this lecture. You learn about code, standard and specification and why they are required, and also about design standard, material standard and dimension standard, and what these three category of standard covers. Refer resource section of this lecture to have a look on applicable code and standard that used in process industry. See you in the next lecture.